This episode is all about black. We're going to keep things low-key. Hi, and welcome to SnapShot, the show that's all about taking better photos, taking better video. I'm your host, Denis Rule, and thanks for joining us on this very first episode. I'm super excited to share my content with you. We've got 25 more shows planned, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So let's get things started. Recently, I posted this photo on Flickr, and someone wrote a comment. How do you keep your black background looking so sharp and crisp? Whenever I take a photo like this, it always looks gray and muddy. The answer to the question is really simple. It's called the inverse square law of light. Remember back in grade 11 physics, you were paying attention, right? Because you knew you were going to be a photographer one day. In grade 11 physics, we learned about the inverse square law of light. And the law states, light intensity is equal to 1 over the distance squared. Okay, so if we look at that in simple terms, as photographers, we can say that the closer your subject is to the light, the brighter the subject is going to be lit. Pretty simple, right? So the distance between the subject and the background is really key. Take a look at this photo and you'll see that we call this the fall off of light. The model is very, very close to the light. Notice her cheek on the near side of the light is very brightly lit. And as we go away from the light, and you can see from the yardstick, the light gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. So, now that we know this, let's go into the studio and we'll try a couple of lighting scenarios and keep things low key. We've moved out of the regular TV studio and we've moved over to a larger space because I've got a lot of people helping me out and I want to show you guys exactly how we can keep things low key. So here's the setup. I've got an Aurora Lightbank Fusion Pro 600 watt strobe here, and it's in a Firefly softbox. Now this is an octabox. It's actually octagonal, and I've got a bit of a grid there to stop the light from bouncing and scattering all over the place. So what we're going to do is move this over to the mark, and I'm going to introduce our model, Naomi. If you wouldn't mind coming in and standing on the X right here and looking straight at me, we're just going to aim the light, and I'm going to come in and take a shot, and as simple as that, we've got a photo and we've got a start. But we've got a background that is, well, a bit muddy. And the reason for that is that we don't have space. Remember, we talked about the inverse square law of light. We talked about the further light has to travel, the more it falls off. So we're lighting the background here. So very, very simply, we're going to move Noemi up to the front, and we're going to put her on a bench a little bit more comfortable, so we'll be right back. Okay, so we've moved things up. What I've done is brought Noemi up about 3 meters away from the background, 10 feet. And that way, there's some distance. We have some fall off. The light is relatively close to her, so as the light comes in, and it's coming in, by the way, at f6.3. We pre-measured it, and there's lots of room for it to fall off. So I'm going to come around, take another shot, same kind of look. The other thing that we've done is I've made the model more comfortable. She's now sitting, and I'm able to angle her shoulders a little bit more towards the light. This opens up the light to bring across her body, and also helps in making her look slim. She doesn't need any help making her look slim, but we all know that the camera adds 10 pounds, and we don't want to do that. All right, I'm going to get you to tilt your head a little bit this way, chin down for me just a bit. 1, 2, 3, nice smile. Awesome. So there we go. That's the shot. You can see that the background is now completely dark, but we can take it a step further because she just looks like a floating head. When we look at the one light shot, we've got the light coming across, but she looks like a floating head. So we're going to introduce a second light. We're going to bring that in. Evan, if you wouldn't mind bringing that in, and we've pre-measured this mark, and this one's already aimed, and we've got it about 2/3 of a stop less. This is another Aurora Lightbank Pro Fusion 600, and I've got it on a strip box right now. And the nice thing about a strip box, this one here is a very small one. It's 12 inches across by 36 inches down. And what that does is it gives us a nice little ribbon of light right across the model's shoulder. So let's take a shot and see how we do. And we come in, we'll go a little bit wider. 1, 2, 3, nice smile. Give me your head, tilt that way. That's nice, right there. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So now you can see that we have hair light, we have a whole lot more going on, a lot more she's popping off the page. Let's take it one more step. We'll bring in a second Aurora light bank strip box, Paul, if you wouldn't mind. We've already pre-measured it, and we'll just make sure that we turn it on. And we're going to take another shot, exactly the same. 1, 2, 3. That looks awesome. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. We'll do one more. We're getting a little bit of a, I'm getting a little bit of a light coming into the lens. So Paul, if you would feather that light a little bit towards the back, that's nice right there. Actually too much, Paul. Let's come back a bit. Good, right there. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. So you got to make sure that your lights in the background are not aimed directly at the lens, otherwise you'll get a flare. It's very, very easy. You can try this at home. Actually, let's take it one more step. Let's add in a reflector and make the model really pop. I'm going to bring in a reflector. This is a triangular reflector. It's silver on one side, it's white on the other. And I'm not going to use a stand, I'm not going to use an assistant. I'm actually going to ask Noemi to hang on to that, and we're just going to bring it across her shoulders. So what's going to happen is this adds as another light source. My light is going to come down, it's actually going to hit here and come back and light that shadow that's underneath the chin. I'm going to get you to bring it up just ever so slightly. That's it. Very nice. No, sorry. This way, but just up a bit. Right there. Nice. And 1, 2, 3. And there we go. We've lit the underside of her chin, and we've created a beautiful portrait with just a few simple steps. Here's a really nice softbox from TriStar. It's meant for speedlights, and it's a 24-inch. It's called the Magic Square. Obviously, the square shape is part of that name, but you'll see exactly why it's a Magic Square in a moment. Let's start off at the back. It's got an amazing bracket for the speedlight. It's all metal construction, so there's no plastic there other than a little coating on the thumb knobs for comfort. The bracket itself is adjustable in and out, so it fits most types of flashes. Actually, it's fit every flash that I've ever tried on it. And it's adjustable with a lot of latitude up and down. So you can see there that even if you're going to mount a radio receiver between the shoe and your flash, there's lots of room. So you just move your flash right in so you avoid spillage out from the back. The bracket itself is got a great tilting mechanism. It's a kind of a ratcheting tooth mechanism so that no matter what angle you set it at, you don't have to reef the tightening mechanism. It'll hold even out in a high wind at any angle that you decide on. So on that, it's amazing. I bring this around to the front, and you're going to see some of the really nice features here. First of all, the stitching all the way around and the attention to detail, top notch. Nice lip, nice thick lip here that, it's a good 3 inches anyway. So that helps you feather your light. As you're moving the light over onto your subject, you can adjust where you want the fall off to be. Really, really nice for portraiture, really nice for product work. Gives you all that control. Double diffused, there's a Velcro stitching all the way around. And so you can open it up. The silver reflective material inside is very well bonded, and again, nice feel to it. I've been using this one now for well over 3 years, and it hasn't peeled off, and I've used a lot of inexpensive internet brand type materials, and they tend to flake off very, very quickly. This one does not. You'll notice inside, as I pull this open here, that you've got a very wide lip, and it's a metal ring around the speedlight, so that when I take this apart, I actually have to pull it a little bit harder. There's an elastic band all the way around the back, and when I open this up and just pull it down, you'll notice that you actually have to pull on it. It's not going to fall apart on its own, which is a really nice feature. And there's the magic part. I just fold in my material, fold this in, fold it over, and that's it. It's done. It's as easy to set up as it is to take down. It comes with a sleeve, a case that is big enough to hold the bracket as well, and you can stick that into your kit bag and you're all set to go. Very, very fast and easy to set up. We're going to demonstrate this in a segment coming up a little bit later on in the show. Today's quick tip is for the smartphone user. This is a little clip that I picked up from a local camera store. It was under $10. It's made by PhotoPro. It's rubber coated, spring loaded. It's got a 1/4" 20 thread right on the bottom. So you can now mount your cell phone to a tripod or to a monopod. Helps you get more stable video and helps you take some very interesting selfies. Check it out. So it's a beautiful day out. I've got my cell phone. We're going to try doing some video, and I'm going to try hand holding the video coming down some stairs, and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, so one of the problems with trying to maneuver down some stairs, holding a very small camera, in this case here it's a smartphone, it makes for kind of unstable shots. And that's because the camera is so small, and you'll notice that my hand is extended pretty far out, so it's pretty hard to get some stability. Okay, so I've added my little PhotoPro bracket to a light pole. I could use a monopod, but this one here is very, very lightweight, and it's meant for holding speedlights. But by attaching my smartphone onto this, I now have a grip, and I now have some stability that I can add to the shot. So we'll take another walk down the stairs and see what it looks like. By extending the pole down, I'm giving the camera a little bit of counterweight, and I'm making the shot a little bit more sturdy and a little bit more steady, and a lot easier to look at. So nothing beats having a tripod. Even a very inexpensive tripod will give you a very sturdy, smooth shot as we do a pan. And there's our cameraman, James. Another really cool thing we can do with a tripod, on a smartphone we don't really have a zoom lens and we have to do a digital zoom, but in this case here we can use a tripod as a tilt mechanism and we can get some really interesting shots. Watch as I get a little closer to James, and we'll do this again. So by extending the tripod and pushing on the legs and panning the head down at the same time, I can get a zoom very, very sturdy with the PhotoPro bracket. Okay, in this segment of the show, we're going to show you what we can do with just one speedlight. You don't need all of the studio gear that you saw earlier in order to get a good shot. Now we're going to bring back the Magic Square that we saw earlier on in the show, and we're going to fire that with a SB900 flash, the Nikon, and I've got it talking with Pocket Wizards. If you don't have Pocket Wizards, you can use the commander system on your camera, but we're not going to go into that in detail on this particular shot. So let's take a shot of Paul. So our setup is very similar to the beginning of the show. Paul is about 10 feet away from the background, or 3 meters, and that way we've got that fall off that happens, and he's going to be totally black. I've got my Magic Square set up over here, and it's a little bit behind Paul, about a foot or so, or maybe 30 centimeters. And I've got it roughly, 4 feet or 120 centimeters away. So what we're going to do is we're going to get Paul to look straight into the wall, and we're going to take a shot. We'll make sure that the flash is awake. I've already pre-measured, and I know that I'm at f8 if I go to ISO 200. So I'm going to set my camera at ISO 200. And Paul, looking straight ahead, bring your chin down for me ever so slightly, and we take a shot, and there we go. That's our first shot, and it's very, very easy to do with just one light. Now, let's see if we can get some dimension without adding an extra light. Okay, so I've got a 2-in-1 reflector here. You can see that it's a triangular reflector. It's got a grip. It's white on one side, it's silver on the other. I've got it mounted to a light stand, and that way I don't have to worry about having an assistant for this shot. What I'm going to do is going to set this behind Paul here, and what's going to happen is that my light is going to come across Paul's face, hit the reflector, come back and light the back side of Paul's head and his ear a little bit. And that way we have a little bit more of a 3D look, still using only one light. So let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. Paul, I'm going to get you to look a little bit more this way for me. Perfect. We'll make sure that our flash hasn't gone to sleep, and it's okay. It's all ready to set. 1, 2, the chin down ever so slightly, and 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now you can see in the shot that there's a lot more dimension. It's a 3D look, and I've only used one speed light. Well, that's it. That's our first show. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd like to thank all the people who helped me make this show possible. Without their help, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do it. So make sure you watch the credits. Stick through it to the end because these guys did a wonderful job. If you're interested in seeing the high-res photos that we took today, they're going to be posted on Flickr. There's a link down below. And join us on Facebook. Join the conversation. Come and tell us all the good stuff. Follow the news. See what's happening in future shows. Leave us your comments below. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like. Maybe you have some suggestions for future shows. We're always interested in finding out what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss the next one that's coming out. So with that, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you on the 30th. Bye for now.